Hi, this is Adam Vianetta with Wholesale Capital Corporation, and I have a special guest today with me, Tracy Andrews.
Hi, this is Tracy Andrews, and I'm the principal broker of Summit Realty Partners. Thanks for having me, Adam.
And I'm glad to have you here with me. And today we have a lot of information provided by the MBS Highway in this presentation and Barry Habib's group. It's going to be great because we're going to be breaking down a lot of what's happening today, especially in the media. And basically, the housing market is doing well, but the media tries to find ways to push back against that and say that the current rate of appreciation, which happens to be very solid, that these increases are not sustainable, and the level of income that's needed is not keeping up as well. They're asking questions of where new home buyers are coming from, and so today we have quite a few items to share with you and discuss here. So Tracy, why don't you start us off?
Well, today we're going to be able to withstand the negative information from the media, which is not only negative information, but it's wrong. It's not accurate at all, and we're going to explain why here. So here we go.
So the question today is, are the current rates of appreciation sustainable?
We have discussed how the media has very negative bias in the past, but even now, even though they have been wrong, rather than saying, hey, we got it wrong, they are doubling down on their bet. And we see information come out like new home sales doing pretty good, and a big move higher from previous levels.
The media likes to say, oh no, when we look back just 9 years ago or so, the housing starts were so much higher, well over 2 million housing starts. The thing of it is, when you have 2 million housing starts and you don't have demand to meet it, you get gluts in the market, or pressure in the market that leads to downward pressure in pricing, and that is in part what led to the housing bubble. Too many houses and not enough buyers.
Exactly. So builders stopped building homes, but they have started to pick up the pace, but not at the crazy pace as they did before. This is actually very healthy. And again, media doesn't understand the basic rules of supply and demand like we learned in our economics class. So supply is now even perhaps not enough to meet the current demand by a little bit, but why prices have been moving up at a nice healthy clip. It's very supportive of price appreciation.
That sounds good. So now another aspect of this, to take it one step further, is inventory, which basically means the percentage of homes for sale. And when we take a look in the past, we have a pretty healthy level between 2 and 2.5%, which you can see right here. Let me just get my highlighter. So you can see the 2 to 2.5% goes back all the way to about 1983, and that's contingent with good, healthy markets.
And as you can see, things get a little out of hand here as we get to the years between 2005 to 2007. The percentage of homes skyrocketed. And that again, supply and demand issues caused prices to decline, and that was the peak of the housing market bubble. But when you look at where we are now, inventory levels are low in many of the markets around the country. And once again, that happens to be very supportive of prices. You can get fewer transactions, but as far as from a price perspective goes, it is supportive. And when you look at history, we are looking at the lowest levels of inventory in the past 30 years. So this does make for a healthy price environment for houses.
Yeah, we're at like a 1.5% inventory versus the 2 to 2.5%. So even though prices have gone up, they haven't gone out of control. But the media likes to manipulate the data.
Exactly. So let's take a quick example here. They say home prices have gone up 5 to 6%, but the median income is only up 2.3%. So the first thing we look at is median income. It's not an accurate measure because this measures all incomes and doesn't consider the home buyer market. Home buyers typically have higher levels of income and typically see their income rise at a higher percentage. So let's see an example.
Okay. So how about we use a basketball example? Let's say that you have a team of 12 players who score 120 points in a game. Well, you can say that the average player is scoring 10 points, and that would seem correct. But what if only 8 players played in the game? What if 4 players never got off the bench? Well, a more accurate measure would be for the players in the game. It's 15 points per player, and what we're trying to say is that when you look at an overall median income, it's like looking at the players not in the game. When you look at the people in the game, it's much higher, and that's the income that we're talking about.
Exactly. So, but still, does that answer the question of median income not being able to sustain, let's say, 2.3 or 3%? If home prices are going up 5% or 6%, that's not sustainable, right? According to the media.
Well, let's break this down a little bit more. And what we really need to focus on is home payment and not home price, because couldn't you make the argument that prices, if they declined, you would think that that would make more affordable, but what if the interest rates increased dramatically?
Yeah, that would actually be less affordable. So home affordability is not home prices alone. It's home price, amount of down payment, condition in regards to income, and of course interest rates. When you put all that together, you get the home affordability matrix.
So the media only looks at the headlines like median income rising at 2.3%, and they try to position that in a negative way. And they forget a very important aspect, and that is the relationship between payment and income, which we will get to in a moment, right?
Exactly. Well, it's kind of like a Rubik's Cube. You turn it one way and it affects something else. And as I just mentioned, there's a relationship, according to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, that is roughly 20% of someone's monthly income is about equal to their monthly payment.
Now we know that it can go much higher than that. We know that people can qualify for much more than just the 20%, but it just turns out to be that as far as when you look at the median income level or the mean level of income versus the payments, it comes out to be about 20% on the front end ratio, which is the payments, the monthly payment versus their income. That suggests that there's quite a bit of cushion there, because if the payment went up, would easily qualify so long as the payment didn't go up crazy. So here's an example. Let's say that someone's income is about $5,000 and their monthly payment is $1,000. Well, then they would be looking at a 20% ratio. But what if their payment increased by 5%?
All right, so when we take a look at this, if their payment was $1,000 and it went up 5% in cost, let's just say for a moment that interest rates stayed the same, but the home prices went up by 5%. Well, then it would cost them $50 more a month. Well, here's the question: does their income have to go up by 5%?
If their income's $5,000, to meet that additional $50, their income would only have to increase by 1% to match. 1% of $5,000 is $50. So to keep the relative cost of $50 per month, you would only need a 1% increase in income. And we're seeing incomes rise by 2.3%.
Exactly. So we can actually support a 13% rise in payment, and that would mean that home prices went up by 13%. And if interest rates stayed the same, we could sustain that with the current level of income. So when we take a look at a 5% appreciation scenario with the current median home price and add some closing costs, and with the 10% down payment after 5 years, we start to see that we go up rather significantly. $236,400 today would be in 5 years from now above $300,000 in home value. So what about your level of dollars?
Well, when we start off when you start off, when you buy a home, that closing cost, which we estimated to have $6,000 in closing costs, that puts you underwater by $6,000. But in the first year, you have recouped your closing costs and are ahead by almost $6,000, about $5,700 actually. And 5 years from now, you're close to $60,000 in equity, and that's including the closing cost. So that's a pretty huge increase. Now, what about the rate of return on your down payment?
Well, if you put a 10% down payment, because of closing costs, the date that you close escrow, you're down 25.38%. But they do quickly recoup that after 1 year, and they make about a 250% return on their investment in that home just 5 years later.
So to get that 250%, that's what you're taking into consideration is the amount of the down payment and that $60,000 appreciation in equity, correct?
Exactly.
Okay. So now let's take a look at where the next generation of buyers are coming from and where the home buyers are going to come from.
All right, so when we take a look here, the baby boomers are the largest birthing generation. But because not all the baby boomers are around anymore, these numbers have dwindled some. And millennials have now, in 2015, eclipsed baby boomers as the largest generation. Because of that, we take a look at first-time home buyers. The median age of a first-time home buyer is 33 years old.
So in 2006, right in the beginning of the housing bubble, those first-time home buyers were really at a low point. When we take a look, there were a lot of building starts, but the births were dropping. Look at this hole right here. Much fewer people to absorb that supply.
Well, we have seen that turn, and now we see today's 33-year-old who happen to be millennials are at the very beginning of this wave, higher than the wave of baby boomers for many years. So this condition is certainly on the upswing, certainly improving, and over the next few years we have a nice wave to look at births. That should, I would say, demographically mean better and stronger home prices.
So all the information that we were looking at today basically supports prices being able to stay or increase at the current levels that we're seeing, correct?
Yes.
Awesome. So we want to thank you for your time today, and hopefully this information that we provided was helpful to you. If you were having questions about housing prices and which direction they're going, on the screen is our contact information. And I just want to say thank you to Tracy for his time today. Tracy, any last words?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, Adam, for having me. And just a word for viewers, whatever you see in the media, just remember there's always more to the story, so don't always believe what you read.
All right, Tracy, thank you very much.